Hello, hello, hey, yo, it's Adrian. What's going on, guys? So today felt like a good day to go over quarterback rankings in the NFL. So, rules for me, I'm only going to go over 32 quarterbacks, one per team, which means, some guys are going to get left out. I'm basically going to go over who I think is going to play the most games during the season. You can see the nutmeg in the background, enjoying the video. Siri apparently thought I was talking to her. No, I'm not. Okay. But yeah, so some people won't be in here. Like for instance, Kyler Murray is not going to be in this rankings. He'd probably be around middle of the pack if he was, maybe a little lower, honestly. But I have Colt McCoy in here because I think Kyler Murray is going to miss at least half the season, and Colt McCoy is probably going to end up playing more. Now, that being said, it might not be Colt McCoy. It could be like the backup Clayton Tune, but that's just an example. So anyway, let's get right into it. So yeah, at 32, who I was just talking about, we have Colt McCoy, Cardinals quarterback. So I like Colt McCoy. I think he's a good backup. He's old. He's a savvy vet. The thing is, he plays for a Cardinals team that is rebuilding. So they have a rough O line. They just picked up the rookie. Was it Paris Johnson Jr.? They just picked him up, so I mean he should help out, but he's still a rookie. He's probably gonna have his bumps and bruises, learning along the way. And I don't like their coaching staff very much. I mean, they're all new. I got Jonathan Gannon. He's a defensive-minded guy, for one, and two, he seems like he's kind of a psychopath. I don't know if you see his interviews and stuff, but he seems like a serial killer vibe there. I don't know, but then they got Petzing, I believe his name is, who's unproven guy. So I just think Colt McCoy's gonna have a rough time in this offense. So that's why I have him at 32. Um, After him, we got Gardner Minchu. So the Colts, they're kind of tough. I'm not really sure what they're going to look like. Obviously they got the new coach. They got Shane Steichen, and he was Gardner Minshew's O coordinator on the Eagles. So Minshew already knows the offense, so he should be able to jump right in. And then who did they pick up too? Yeah, Shane Steichen, Jim Bob Cooter, right? So I mean, they might be okay, but the thing with Gardner Minshew, I mean, we don't even know if he's gonna play all the games, right? He's obviously he's got Anthony Richardson behind him right now. He was the first round pick. The Colts organization clearly wants Anthony Richardson to start games for them at some point. My theory, though, is that Anthony Richardson is very raw, right? He was raw in college. He didn't have great stats. He just has an incredible quarterback skill set that, the Colts couldn't pass up because his ceiling is through the roof high. It's just his floor right now is so low. So it really just depends on how Anthony Richardson looks. In this rankings, I theorize that he's going to struggle in preseason. He's not going to look great, so they're going to have to go with Gardner Minshew, and Minshew's probably just going to hold on to the starting job for the probably I would think for the majority of the season, at least until they start like losing or something a lot, which it could be early. Honestly, you never know. But I like Minshew. I think he'll hold on to it, and then we'll probably see Anthony Richardson towards the end of the year. But yeah, I have Minshew at 31, and their O line. I mean, it used to be really good, but they struggled last year. Quentin Nelson did not look like himself. Uh, if he comes back, if they can block well for Minshew, and if the defense can play up to par, then maybe they have a shot. Maybe Minshew has a shot at doing better. I mean, they still have Jonathan Taylor. He had an off year last year. Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, Jelani Woods at the tight end. They have some decent weapons, but I can't in good faith put Gardner Minshew any higher than 31 overall right now. Um, I also ranked rookies in here, by the way. Speaking of which, at 30 I have C.J. Stroud. So a lot of people are down on C.J. Stroud. I actually think he's going to be really good. I love his skill set. He seems smart. He has a big arm. He doesn't run, but he can if he needs to. If he gets called upon to run, he can do it. Um, he just looks really good overall. Now, obviously, he had great targets in college, so that might have buffed his stats a little, but still, he has everything you need to be a capable number one overall quarterback, a capable franchise quarterback. So I think he will be good in the long run. That being said, he got drafted by the Texans, right? Texans are not very good. They were bad the past couple of years. They've been a total mess the past couple of years, which is why they are in a position to draft C.J. Stroud. Um, Now, I do think that they are on the up and up. They just brought in the new coach, DeMeco Ryans. I think he's going to be a great coach. I really like him. He is defense, though, so how much is he going to be helping C.J. Stroud? He brought in Bobby Slowick with him from the 49ers. I don't know much about Bobby Slowick. He didn't call the plays, so we'll see what he can do as a coordinator. He could be great. I mean, he came from the Shanahan offense, so he could end up being a great coordinator. We'll see. Um, Weapons wise, Stroud has Nico Collins, Robert Woods, Dalton Schultz, and then they have Dameon Pierce, of course, at running back. They lost Brandon Cooks, obviously, but those are like okay. There's not really a number one receiver in there, and Dalton Schultz should help at tight end. Dameon Pierce depends on if the O line blocks for him. They got Laramie Tunzel and some other players on the O line. They just drafted Juice Scruggs at center, so we'll see. I think they'll have a lot of bumps and bruises. I think they'll struggle, but I think C.J. Stroud will look solid overall. He should be playing the whole year too, and I think the O line's okay enough to where he won't really get hurt. Um, I like him a lot. Obviously, I think his stats will be okay. But I don't know. I can't bring him up too much further than 30 just because the Texans are still like in that low rebuilding mode. So he's gonna have struggles with this team. But move on. At 29, I got Baker Mayfield. So honestly, looking at other people's lists, Baker is a little high on my list at 29, which is kind of sad because Baker used to be at one point a really good quarterback for the Browns. I like Baker Mayfield. He's a very streaky guy. I think he needs good coaching. And I think he needs some players. Unfortunately, I mean they have the players. I think on Tampa. I think they do have the players that he could throw to. They got Mike Evans. He's a great number one receiver. He's been 1,000-yard receiver every year, so he's a great number one. They have Chris Godwin still. They got Rachaad White at running back. He's up and coming. He might be good. Tight end's a little rough. They have, I think, Cade Otton is their number one tight end. We'll see what he can do. He's got some guys, though. The O-line, though, has taken a drastic fall from grace. They're moving Tristan Wirfs and Luke Godecki. They're going to take left and right tackle. They drafted Cody Mauch. Ryan Jensen will be back. That's helpful. He was out all last year. And then they have Matt Filer, of course. So they're trying. They're trying to like rebuild it basically. But we'll see. He might be running for his life. Luckily Baker Mayfield can run a little bit, so he can run for his life, but he's gonna make a lot of mistakes. He's kind of a gunslinger. He's gonna make a lot of mistakes with this O-line, I think. So I can't have him up really too much higher than this. I do like Baker Mayfield. I think he's going to have some big games. I think he's going to have some big games this year, and people are going to be surprised. But he's also going to have some really bad games, and ultimately, I don't think the Bucs are going to be very good next year. Of course, there's also Kyle Trask. They're going to be in a competition in training camp. I can't imagine Kyle Trask winning over Baker Mayfield just because Baker is very talented and also has the experience, whereas Kyle Trask, I mean, he's talented. He can't really, he's like a statue in the pocket, but he just doesn't have any experience either. Like he learned from Tom Brady, so maybe he'll be like smart and he knows the offense already. But Baker's shown that he can get an offense down very quickly. He's been very talented in the past. I think he's gonna win the battle, and I don't think he's gonna get benched either. Maybe if he has like 2 or 3 really bad games in a row, they'll throw Kyle Trask in. Maybe he gets hurt at some point with that O-line. It's questionable. So, but yeah, Baker Mayfield at 29 overall. Oh, I don't trust their coaching staff at all either. I didn't talk about them. Yeah, Todd Bowles, I don't like him as a head coach. He's a good D tackle. He's a good D coordinator, but he's just not a good head coach. And then they got Dave Canales on offense. I mean, maybe he'll be better, but I don't think so. I like Byron Leftwich. I think it's going to be a downgrade. So, yeah. I think Baker is in for a bit of a rough ride, but he'll have some big games. But yeah, that was him at 29 overall. All right, sorry about that. My big chunk boy cat knocked over a cup downstairs. I had to make sure he was okay. He is fine. All right. So let's move right along. 28 overall. So I think this is where a lot of people might disagree with me, like a lot, because people are kind of big on Kenny Pickett. I'm really not. I guess he improved towards the end of the season last year. So I mean, you can say that he might take a big leap in year two, but I don't think his improvement was even that good, to be honest. Like, he went from like looking terrible to looking semi decent, I guess. I don't know. We'll see what he can do. He wasn't that impressive in college to begin with. He's like a clipboard holder. Like, I think he'll be a great backup quarterback one day. I don't like him as a starter. And, he can prove me wrong this year for sure. He might prove me wrong. I mean, he's got a great coaching staff. The Steelers have always been a winning franchise under Mike Tomlin. And I got Matt Canada. I guess he's okay. Weapon wise, obviously they got George Pickens. The Pickett to Pickens connection is real. They still got Deontay Johnson, Najee Harris in the backfield. Pat Freiermuth should be a good tight end. So they got weapons, and their O-line, they got some new guys on there. Isaac Samalo and Broderick Jones, the rookie. So, I mean, O-line should be okay. But I just really don't like Kenny Pickett himself. I think he's a game manager. So, I mean, I guess he could have good stats. I think he's the type of quarterback that needs like all-star level talent around him to be like a playoff caliber team. So I don't know. I don't have too much else to talk about him. He could be better than 28 overall, for real. I don't really think he'll be much lower. I think he'll be decent, but this is just where I ended up with him. I actually had him lower to begin with, but I was like, I can't. He's on the Steelers. If he was on like the Cardinals or the Texans or Bucks, maybe put him lower, but he's on the Steelers. They should be fine. He should be all right. But yeah, that's about all I got with Kenny Pickett. Next at 27 overall, I got Jordan Love. I'm very excited to see what Jordan Love can do, to be honest. 27, I really wanted to put Jordan Love higher. I think he could end up being like really good, but he's so unproven. I couldn't really put him higher, and he's had like okay games in the past, but he hasn't started too many. He's so unproven. He has all the intangibles though. He can run, he can throw, hell, he can catch. Like, he can do it all if you need him to. So he could end up being another amazing quarterback for the Packers. That'd be really, really annoying for the rest of like the Lions, Vikings, and Bears would be very annoyed if he turns up being like like a Hall of Famer again. But I mean, he's got the talent. He could. So the Packers O line. I mean, the Packers O line is good again. As long as Bakhtiari stays healthy, he's back. And the rest of the O line's solid. Like, they should be good for him. Um, his weapons are okay. He's got Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon in the backfield. That's a solid duo. Christian Watson came on during the season last year. Eventually, we'll see what he can do with Jordan Love. It's a different quarterback, but he's very talented. And then they got Romeo Doubs. Like, he could be solid. The the Packers are just such a big question mark because, Aaron Rodgers was the team, basically. He's so talented, like, no matter what happened, he could carry the team. There were a couple years in there where they struggled, but he always had great stats with them either way. So it's really going to be interesting to see what the coach, Matt LaFleur, can do without Aaron Rodgers. If he is who they think he is, then they should be fine. They should be fighting for a playoff spot with Jordan Love. But without Aaron Rodgers, if Matt LaFleur just can't hold on to that offense, if he can't make the schemes, they like Matt LaFleur. The whole league does. He's a byproduct of the Shanahan system, and everyone seems to do good on that is part of the Shanahan tree. So he should be all right. But it's just a question. It's a big enough question mark to where I have Jordan Love at 27. All right, and they got Adam Stenovich as the coordinator. He was like the O line coach, but they do like him. I'm just not sure about him calling the plays with Jordan Love either. We'll see. It's just there's such a big question mark that I couldn't put him any higher than 27. I do really like him, and I think that he has the potential to be like close to top 10. I honestly think that. I don't think maybe top 15 probably for this year. His like quote unquote rookie year, like it's his first year starting. Um, yeah, he did learn under Aaron Rodgers for all these years too, so we'll see. I'm very excited. I'm going to be watching them in the preseason for sure. Very excited to see what he can do. After him, at 26, I have Desmond Ritter. Now, thinking about it, I feel like maybe Jordan Love should have been ahead of Desmond Ritter because Ritter's also somewhat unproven. People are probably going to be upset that I have Kenny Pickett below him too, but I don't know. Desmond Ritter, I feel like, is a game manager. He seems like he's the game manager type guy, like almost like an Alex Smith type, but taller and lankier. uh, I like Desmond Ritter. I really do think he might be more career backup type, but like a really good backup. Um, which also makes me feel like I should have put him behind Jordan Love, but I don't know. Ritter's shown a little bit more. He didn't look great though last year. He just looked meh. Obviously they have Arthur Smith at that head coach. I like Arthur Smith a lot. I thought he was going to be so good for the Falcons when they brought him from Tennessee. He's he's been kind of disappointing though over the first couple years. This is a big year for him, big year for the Falcons, big year for Desmond Ritter all around. Arthur Smith so far has been like relying on the running game, which maybe I should have seen coming from the Titans with Derrick Henry, but I really thought he was going to get this offense rolling with Matt Ryan back when he had him. But we'll see. They have Dave Ragone at coordinator. They haven't been able to do much, so we'll see. They're like meh. Doesn't matter, just meh. This O line is, I want to say they're meh, but honestly, they were pretty solid for once. It looks like they might have actually figured their stuff out. They just drafted Matt Bergeron too. He should be starting at guard. Jake Matthews, Caleb McGarry, Chris Lindstrom. Like, I don't know if any of them are really like really good, but overall together they're a solid group, and I think they should be solid enough for Ritter to do his thing back there. Weapon wise, Weapon wise, I'm so confused, honestly, by this team because they have Drake London. He's an extremely skilled potential number one overall, or potential number one receiver. Like, really good. Like, Kyle Pitts at tight end, one of the, maybe the most skilled tight end in the entire league. Like, obviously, Travis Kelce's the best tight end in football. He's extremely talented, but Kyle Pitts is like a unicorn. He can do anything. They just haven't figured it out with Drake London or Kyle Pitts last year. They didn't really figure it out. It was like, what are you guys doing? Like, I feel like the Falcons should have brought in somebody else at quarterback. Like, I just don't trust Desmond Ritter. Like, if they brought in Jimmy G, like, Jimmy G is a beautiful um, game manager. Like, I feel like he would take this team to new heights. But they're trusting Desmond Ritter, and I just don't know if they should be. Obviously, they brought in Bijan Robinson at running back, and they have their other guys, Algier, and Bijan should be great. As long as the O-line stays together, he should be great for them. And he should take a lot of heat off of anything Desmond Ritter does. But honestly, they're going to have some like really fun games. This should be a fun team to watch. I just don't, there's something about it I just don't trust. Like on paper, honestly, they could be really good next year. But it's just something about Desmond Ritter I just don't trust. Like, and they brought in Taylor Heineke, I believe. I want to make sure right quick. I'm pretty sure they did though. Yeah, they brought in Taylor Heineke from the Commanders from Washington. So I mean, even if Ritter fails, maybe Heineke will come in, and Heineke's a fun player to watch. Honestly, I'd be more excited to watch him with Taylor Heineke than with Desmond Ritter, because with Heineke, they will make some explosive plays with this offense. Explosive plays. And also some crazy lows. He'll definitely throw some weird picks, but they'd be so fun to watch. I think they should play Taylor Heineke, to be honest. But Ritter will probably hold on to it. We'll see what happens. Very excited for this offense. Not excited at all for Desmond Ritter, but I have him at 26, I suppose, just because the weapons sound so fun to me. They have such good Bijan Robinson, Drake London, and Kyle Pitts. Like that is an explosive trio right there. Like if Aaron Rodgers had those guys, whoa, just that'd be off the charts. Anyway, let's move to 25 overall. I have the number one overall, Bryce Young. Bryce Young should be really fun to watch. He's a runner. He's a track star, but he's also got a cannon. He can throw it. He can make plays. He made smart plays all the time too. He had a really good team, obviously. So I don't know. We'll see. I also really like what the Panthers did with their coaching staff. You know, they brought in Frank Reich from the Colts. I've always loved Frank Reich back from the Eagles days. I think he's a great play caller, and I think he was a good head coach. I don't know what happened with the Colts. They just went downhill. They couldn't find a quarterback, I guess, which is probably why he immediately found one for himself this time around. And then he brought in Thomas Brown. Thomas Brown, I think, is going to be a great coordinator. I'm very excited for that. They brought in Josh McCown as the quarterback coach. I love Josh McCown. Excited for that guy, too. And then they brought in Ejiro Evero as D coordinator. Like, their coaching staff is amazing. They're fantastic, and I love it. And I think this could set up the Panthers for, like, a decade plus of success. I hope, because I really like this coaching staff. The O-line's also actually not bad. Like, they got an Ike Ekwonu last year. He looked pretty good in his rookie year, so he could improve a lot and be a great left tackle for the future. The rest of them are like okay. Taylor Moton, Bozeman, Corbett, they're okay, but like they should be solid together as a group with Icky. They should be solid for Bryce Young, which they need to be because Bryce Young's small. I'm honestly nervous about him being able to stay healthy in the league. Hopefully he puts on some weight. And their weaponry's not amazing, but they're also not terrible. Like they brought in Miles Sanders for the backfield. He should be a great target for Bryce Young. He can catch the ball and make plays after, and he can also run. He's a scat back. He should be good in the Panthers. I'm excited to see him back there. They got DJ Chark, and they brought in Adam Thielen for receivers. That's a solid duo. Nothing crazy. And then they got Hayden Hurst at tight end. Solid tight end. Basically, the Panthers seem like they're overall just a solid team. Nothing. I think they're going to be solid enough to where, and new enough to where they basically should be able to beat like all the bad teams, but lose to all the good teams. You know what I mean? I think that's the type of team they're going to be with Bryce Young next year. If Bryce Young goes down, though, I'm not sure what's going to happen. I'm not even sure. Hold on. Who's their backup? Oh, they got Andy Dalton. I forgot about that. Yeah, so if Bryce Young goes down, they'll be fine. Andy Dalton's great. Yeah, it'd even be fun to see Andy Dalton in there if Bryce goes down. So I think they're going to be like a middling team next year. But or this year rather. But next year and the year after, I think they're going to just improve. I think they're going to be a perennial playoff team, and I'm excited to see it in the future. Just this year, cut them some slack. They rebuilt, and they're starting from scratch basically, but they should be great eventually. I'm excited to see what this team can do too. But yeah, I'm not going to put him more than 25 overall. He might end up being more than that, higher than that. But for now, he's a rookie and he needs a number one receiver still, and they got to all gel together before I'm going to put him any higher than that. After him, and yeah, I get it. For a lot of people, this is going to be like too high. But I have Sam Howell at 24. I like Sam Howell a lot. I liked him coming out of school. I thought he should have been. I like him better than Kenny Pickett. All right, I thought he should have been the number one overall pick. To be honest, yeah, I get it. His last year in college was rough. Him and Spencer Rattler were supposed to be the 1 and 2 overall picks. They blew it. They struggled, but he lost everyone his last year of college. Everybody. He was running around with college players when he had NFL players before. You know what I mean? Like, and I get it. That's an excuse, but I just like him. He has a good arm. He can run, as you could see from his senior year. He can run with the best of them. And I guess the only thing that he really struggled with that year was his decision making, really. He's pretty accurate too. Like, I think he can be a really good quarterback. And I know a lot of people are like, do they really think Sam Howell can be the guy? Like, they brought in Jacoby Brissett. He's just going to win it in the. No, I disagree. I think Sam Howell has the potential to be the Commanders' quarterback for a long time. And they brought in Eric Bieniemy from the Chiefs to do it. Now, Bieniemy without Pat Mahomes, it remains to be seen what he can do. I have a lot of faith, though. I just think he hasn't gotten a head coaching job because he's a bad interviewer. You know, some people are just bad interviewers. I think he's going to kill it with Sam Howell and this offense. And they got some weapons, too. Like, they have a very underrated core of weaponry there under Sam Howell. They got Scary Terry, fantastic number one receiver, in my opinion. He came out of nowhere a couple years back, and he hasn't let it go. He's a beast. I love Scary Terry. I'm a Giants fan. I don't love him, but I love him. Um, and then they got Curtis Samuel, and they got Jahan Dotson. That's a great trio right there. And then at running back, they got Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson. Like, come on, he's got everything he needs in that offense to be successful. The only issue would be the O line. Their O line was spotty, and they lost some players. Now they got Charles Leno coming back. We'll see. They brought in Andrew Wiley. They brought in Nick Gates from the Giants. I love Nick Gates. I think he's going to be a great center for him. Sadiq Charles, Sam Cosmi. Like, this O line could be what makes or breaks this team. Because if the O line doesn't gel, if they struggle, if people start getting hurt because they can't block, Sam Howell's he might struggle. Like I said, he can run around, but there's only so far he can run around on an NFL field before a monster in the defensive backfield takes you down. You know what I mean? Um, and then if they can't block for the running backs, there's not much running backs can do without blocking. You know what I mean? So we'll see what happens. I really like him. I think he's going to do really good this year. But like I said, a lot of it depends on the O line, so I couldn't put him any higher. Also, just because he's so unproven, I couldn't put him any higher either. But I like 24 for Sam Howell. I think he'll do good. Um, After Sam Howell, a lot of people probably aren't going to like this, but I have Jimmy G with the Raiders. Now I get it. I get it. Jimmy G has a proven past. He's a winner, and he's always had good statistical seasons. That being said, I think everyone knows that he is a mediocre quarterback. He's not amazing. He's a good game manager. He's a good game manager, and that is his ceiling. And a good game manager needs a good coaching staff to call the plays. That is why I have him at 23 and no higher. I actually had him lower. I put him ahead of Sam Howell and Bryce Young right before I recorded this, just because like he has such a proven past that I was like, well, how am I going to put him behind unproven guys? Jimmy G, I like Jimmy G. I think he'd be a fantastic backup and a decent starter. You know, he's brought a team to the Super Bowl before, so maybe you can even say he's a good starter, but I can't tell you how much I don't trust this coaching staff. I might trust this coaching staff like the least in the NFL. Um, yeah, they have the Patriots' old coordinator, Josh McDaniels. I don't trust Josh McDaniels at all. I think he's a good old coordinator, but once he becomes a head coach, he loses his mind. He's not a good head coach. He brought in Mick Lombardi to be his O coordinator. Mick Lombardi is not a proven good O coordinator. Hell, Patrick Graham even struggled as a D coordinator last year. He's just like everything Josh McDaniels touches as a head coach turns to ash. You know what I'm saying? It just, I like Jimmy G, but I just feel like he picked the wrong team to go to. I just think he's gonna have a bad year. The O line's like okay. They kind of rebuilt it last year because it was terrible. Colton Miller looked better, and they have some decent other guys too. Weaponry, they have good weapons. I won't lie. Devontae Adams is still a really good receiver. I think he's a little pissed off with the Derek Carr situation, so we'll see what happens there. Josh Jacobs, great running back. Don't even know if he's going to play for him, though. They got Hunter Renfrow still. He's been a decent. He used to be really good. I'm pretty sure he took a step back last year, if I remember right. We'll see what he can do with Jimmy. And they got Austin Hooper at tight end. He's all right. I just really don't trust the coaches. And I don't think the players like the coaches either, to be real. Based on Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs and Derek Carr from last year. I just think McDaniels is a terrible head coach. And I hope that he doesn't destroy Jimmy G's career. That's all I'm going to say about it, really. I like Jimmy G a lot. I think this was a mistake for him to come to Vegas. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he looks great in Vegas black, all right? Maybe he takes the team close to the playoffs. He could. He's a proven winner. He could. I just think it was a bad decision, and I don't think he's going to do good next year. So I could not put him any higher than 23. I wanted to put him lower. I really just don't think the Raiders are going to be good until McDaniels is off the team. Moving along, though, after Jimmy G, I have Mac Jones at 22 overall. I like Mac Jones a lot. I do. I think he's a solid quarterback. I think with the right offense and the right coaching, he could take a team to the Super Bowl. I think he's about the same as Jimmy G, honestly, which is probably why I have them ranked next to each other. Obviously, Mac Jones, he was a Pro Bowler his rookie year, right? He looked solid. He looked good his rookie year. Then Belichick decided to be crazy last year and destroy his entire offense after they lost McDaniels, so he did not replace him. He, I guess, technically replaced him with a bunch of D coordinators and special teams coordinators that don't know how to call plays, which, what are you doing, Belichick? Come on. But this year, he brought back Bill O'Brien. Now, yeah, I get it. Bill O'Brien, last we saw, he was on the Texans, right? And it wasn't good. He lost his mind. He thought that he was the next Bill Belichick, basically. And he drove them into the ground. But that's not what he's doing here. He is just coordinating the offense. And he is a good, very good, even, offensive coordinator. So honestly, the Patriots and Mac Jones could be ranked a lot higher than this, depending on how Bill O'Brien takes them. But I think Mac Jones has a ceiling. I don't think he's going to ever be a top 10 quarterback. But he could be top 15. He could be a solid game manager. The Patriots O-line is okay. They got Trent Brown, David Andrews. Cole Strange was okay last year. They brought in Riley Reif to shore up the right tackle. He should be solid. So, the O-line's okay. The weaponry, maybe questionable. They're not bad, though. Ramondre Stevenson could have a breakout year in the backfield. I like him. He could be really good next year. They still got Juju. They brought him back. He's up and down. He's all right. He never really reached the heights that everyone thought he was gonna, but he's not bad. Solid receiver. They got Devontae Parker. He's been solid. Hunter Henry at tight end, touchdown machine. So in theory, they could be really good. But they also are in a very, very tough division and a very tough conference. So I think there's only so far that Mac Jones is going to take them next year. If they got a number one receiver, like if he had Randy Moss from back in the day, I think the Pats could contend. But right now, I don't think they're going to get too much further than this 22 overall position with Mac Jones. Future, who knows? We'll see. But that's where I got him for now. 21 overall, we got Derek Carr. I didn't really know where to put Derek Carr. I like him. I've always liked him. He's had up and down seasons. He's very talented. I think a lot depends on the team around him, to be honest. But yeah, I like him. He's just going to a team that I don't like. That's the problem. Now, the Saints under Sean Payton, Derek Carr would be in the playoffs. No doubt about it. In my mind, he would be in the playoffs with Sean Payton. But they don't got Sean Payton. They got Dennis Allen. I'm not a big fan of Dennis Allen. I think he's like a better D coordinator than head coach. Like he's failed a lot in the past. And I think he failed last year with the Saints. They should have been in the playoffs if he played his cards right. But I don't think he's a great coach. I got Pete Carmichael at coordinator. Like, I don't like the coaching. I don't. They brought in Joe Woods as D coordinator. Not that matters, but I don't like the coaching. Weapon wise, also a question mark. Big question mark. Probably one of the biggest question marks in the league for this year. They got Alvin Kamara in the backfield. He's gonna get suspended. We don't know how long for. Also, he's getting older. So, like, he's been amazing in the past, but that's in the past. I don't know what he's gonna do this year. At receiver, is Michael Thomas their number one? I don't know. He's been a disappearing act for the last few years. He used to be a number one receiver with Drew Brees. Now who is he? I don't know. Maybe he's Michael Thomas. We'll see what he can do with Derek Carr this year, but you can't trust him. Obviously, they got Chris Olave from last year. He looked really good. I won't lie, he looked really good last year. So maybe he can. Maybe Derek Carr will have some solace in having Chris Olave catching passes from him. I don't know. They also got Jamal Williams backing up Kamara. I like Jamal Williams a lot. He was great for the Lions last year. He's funny too. Watch his interviews. He's funny. Touchdown machine. But I just don't know what the Saints now. They're in a division where maybe they could win, but I don't trust the coaching. I don't the O line too. Let's look at that real quick. I don't even remember. O line's all right. Ramczyk, Cesar Ruiz, Eric McCoy, Penning. We'll see what Penning can do. They're just like overall okay. There's nothing like too special about them. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it. It's just, they might be okay. They might be terrible. You know. We'll see. But I have them at 21 overall. 20 overall. Now this is a guy that's been getting a lot of hype in Justin Fields, and I get it. He's very talented. He's very dangerous with the ball, and he can make all kinds of throws. And he looked like he was getting a lot better towards the end of last year. It looks like he figured it out. So, in theory, I think Fields has the potential to be a top 10 quarterback. In theory. The only problem with that, and why I have him at 20 instead of at like 15, 12, 10 maybe even, I have him at 20 because I don't trust the coaching staff. That's what a lot of these are coming down to, is the coaches I don't trust. They brought in Matt Eberflus last year from the Colts, and he didn't look like he knew what he was doing. Now, you can improve. That's true. You can improve. But I don't trust him as the head coach. I don't trust their coordinator either. They brought in Luke Getsy. I think he was the Packers tight end coach. Like, now he's calling the plays. I don't like the coaching staff at all. Ryan Poles, the GM, it looks like he tried to actually improve the team this year because Justin Fields had nothing last year. Nothing. It was just him. O-line, they brought in Braxton Jones, Tevin Jenkins. They brought in Nate Davis, drafted Darnell Wright. Maybe they'll be all right. Maybe. They got to be all right for Fields. He's going to be running all over the place. His weapons, they got DJ Moore. That's a big help. That is a big help. When they traded the first pick, they got DJ Moore. They got Darnell Mooney still. We'll see what he can do. Chase Claypool, he came in. He didn't look great for him last year, but maybe with the DJ Moore added, maybe he can do some work. Running back room, I don't trust. Khalil Herbert, he runs around back there. Maybe he'll be all right. I will say I do like the receivers that they brought in. So, I mean, maybe that'll help him out a lot. He could probably do some work with them, but I really just don't trust the coaching. I think Justin Fields will be like an okay quarterback until they bring somebody else in as the head coach. Like, fire the coaching staff. I know it's year 2. That's a little rough to say, but I just don't trust him. I think if Fields was drafted to the 49ers, he would probably be a top 5 quarterback right now. Honestly, I think he'd be amazing with Shanahan teaching him. But that's not what happened. He got drafted to the Bears, and it's unfortunate. I think he will be really good one day. Just, I don't know how far he can go with this coaching staff on the Bears. Hopefully they bring somebody else in, or they figure that out next year. Or this year, I mean. But we'll see. After Fields, I have Ryan Tannehill at 19. Ryan Tannehill used to be, honestly, he was like a top 10 quarterback just a few years ago. Very talented, makes a lot of good plays. Obviously, he was behind Derrick Henry, so that helped a lot. Last year, took a pretty bad step backwards, though. He is getting older, so I mean, I get it. Quarterbacks start losing their stuff when they get older. I get it. I still like Tannehill, though. I think he's really smart. I think he can make a lot of good plays. He was hurt last year, so I think coming back healthy is going to help. Some people are going to think 19 is a little high. I think it's perfect for him right now. Unfortunately, the Titans are a very talent. They lack talent. They lack a lot of talent, unfortunately, right now. The old GM did not do the team good. They're trying to fix their O-line. It was the worst in the league, I would say, last year, or close to it. Petit Freer is supposed to be here. He's probably going to miss some games, though. Hopefully he's good. They drafted Pete Skoronski. Hopefully he can shore up a guard position. Andre Dillard from the Eagles. If he is who the Eagles thought he was when they drafted him, he probably would have been starting for him. So, I don't know what he's going to bring. Hopefully starting capable, but we'll see. Daniel Brunskill at guard. Hopefully those guys can help shore up what was a dreadful O-line last year. Because they need it. Derrick Henry is, in my opinion, the best running back in the league. I know that's arguable. I get it. I love Derrick Henry, though. If this O-line can block for him, that's all Tannehill needs, in my opinion, and he'll be good. But they also brought in D-Hop. They just got D-Hop. That's a great target for Tannehill that he was missing last year. They were so stupid to get rid of A.J. Brown. So stupid. Made no sense. Titans fans were pissed. Everyone else was confused. They thought bringing in Traylon Burks is like, we'll do what the Vikings did. Diggs for Jefferson. We'll be fine. No. They got lucky. That ain't how it works. A.J. Brown was not replaceable. Traylon Burks, sure, he might be all right. Hopefully he figures it out with DeAndre Hopkins helping him out, but that's not how it works. Kyle Phillips they have in the slot. He looked like a solid slot guy last year. But and then the offense too. Obviously Mike Vrabel doesn't call the offense. They brought in Tim Kelly. I mean, maybe he'll be all right. I don't know. Big question mark for the Titans. It'll be a big season. They're either going to be solid or they're going to be terrible. I don't feel like there's much of an in between there. I hope they're solid. I like the Titans. I want Derrick Henry to win a ring one day, but we'll see. But yeah, I got Tannehill at 19 for now. He could end up being higher. He could end up being lower. If he's lower, he's going to get benched. So, and then we'll see what Will Levis can do. But yeah, 19 is what I have him at. After him at 18, I didn't know what the heck to do with this guy, DeSean Watson. Obviously, last year was a disaster for him. The Browns were bad. DeSean Watson was bad. No, he wasn't even bad. He was horrible. Straight garbage. Now, that being said, obviously in the past, DeSean Watson has been a top 5 quarterback. For the Texans, he was a top 5 quarterback every single year. He was really good, which is why the Browns paid for him despite all the offseason drama that was going on. It's a big question mark to see what he can come back as. I don't think it's a matter of skill. He's still very talented no matter what happened. I think, honestly, it's all in his head. You know, he has to deal with everybody hating him, for good reason. And he has to deal with doubts. He missed 2 years. Like, he has to deal with doubts about bringing his game back. He also had to deal with a new system last year, learning a new city, a lot of new things. So, in theory, he could come in this year and he could kill it from the get-go. The Browns have a very talented team. Stefanski is coaching them. Alex Van Pelt coaching the offense. That's not bad. They got Nick Chubb, one of the best backs in the league. Amari Cooper, great number 1 receiver. Good number 1 receiver. Number 1 receiver, though. Javid Njoku's a great tight end. Donovan Peoples-Jones was catching passes last year. The O-line is really good. We got Jedrick Wills, Joel Bitonio, Wyatt Teller, Jack Conklin. Really good O-line. They have everything that they need to be a really good team and for Watson to be a really good quarterback. It just all depends on Watson's brain. That is my theory. If DeSean Watson can get over everything, if he can push it, if he can take all that portion out of his brain and just push it away and just get all the football that he had and put it right back in there and focus all on that, I think the Browns could be a very dangerous team next year. But I have him at 18. Why? Because I don't necessarily think that he will ever be the same. If you watch his interviews, he still seems like he's unsure of himself, and honestly, it doesn't even seem. It seems like he doesn't think he did anything wrong, which makes me think that he just kind of has maturity issues. At his age, that's problematic, and as a franchise quarterback, that's problematic. So we'll see what happens. I don't have high faith in him, but I could definitely also see him taking the Browns deep in the playoffs and being like a top 5 caliber quarterback again. I could see it. I just don't necessarily think it's going to happen. So I have him all the way down at 18. After him, I have the former great quarterback for the Seahawks, Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson was a disaster last year. That, enough said, right? But the thing is, he also wasn't that bad. If you look at his stats, they weren't that bad. They weren't good, but they weren't that bad. He looked like he still could play as a starting quarterback, in my opinion. Now, he had some rough games. He made some bad decisions, and I think he has lost a step. He's not the Russell Wilson we knew and loved from the Super Bowl Patriot days, all right? He's gone. He's not there anymore. He's older, more mature, maybe, hopefully. Probably learned a lot last year about the way he brands himself. He learned a lot last year. I think bringing in Sean Payton is going to help him immensely. I think, no, he will never be a top 10 quarterback ever again. I don't think so. I think that's over with. But I think he can be a very good game-managing quarterback. As long as I think he's very smart quarterback. I think Sean Payton will get that out of him. I think he's going to be kind of like Drew Brees was in his last few years, where like obviously like Drew Brees was gone, right? He was a shell of himself. He wasn't the guy that was brought the Saints to the Super Bowl, but he was a good quarterback that could bring them into the playoffs with the right coaching scheme and the right players around him. And that's what I think Russell Wilson can be. They brought in Joe Lombardi from the Chargers. I don't really care too much about that, though. They got Sean Payton. The Broncos have a great group of weapons, too, I think. Jerry Jeudy, I think, can be very dangerous with Sean Payton coaching him. Courtland Sutton, I think he was the captain last year, and he's very talented. They got Tim Patrick as the third guy coming back. That's a dangerous tandem. And then at running back, they got Javonte Williams, who he's coming off a very serious injury, so he might never get back to the heights of his capabilities, but he's also very talented, and he might do very well next year. The O-line, I think they did a great job this year bringing in O-line help. They brought in Ben Powers and Mike McGlinchey. I think that shores up their O-line. I think they're going to be good. So all of that combined with Russell Wilson's intelligence and his veteran leadership and skills, I think Russ could do better than 17. Now, he could also do worse, but I honestly think that 17 is about the lowest I would have put him. I think Russ is going to be good this year. I really do. He's going to fix his brand. He's going to fix his image this year, I think. And I'm pretty pumped to see if him and Sean Payton can bring the Broncos back to the playoffs, because they have been bad the past few years. But yeah, I think he's going to have a good year, and I'm pretty pumped to see it. At 16, I have my boy, Daniel Jones. Well, I'm almost an hour in, and we're only halfway through. That's tough. I got Daniel Jones, though, at 16. I love Daniel Jones, big Giants fan, so I am biased. But I have him all the way down to 16. I think he can do much better than this. I think he can be top 10. I think he can be a top 10. I was going to say top 5. That's pushing it. I think he can be a top 10 quarterback this year, though. I really do. He's got the arm. He can run. He's smart. He's capable. He's a leader. He's got a good coaching staff. Brian Daboll and Mike Kafka. They're going to call up some great plays for him. They revamped the receiving room. Last year was rough, and they made the playoffs with that. Now they got Slay still on the outside. They brought in Jalen Hyatt. He should be helping out. They still got Wandale. Brought in Paris Campbell to play slot. He's talented. They got Isaiah Hodgins. He took over as the number 1 last year. We'll see what he can do. And of course, they brought in Darren Waller at tight end. They already had Daniel Bellinger. He was good last year. Now they got Darren Waller. A couple of years ago, he was arguably the best at tight end in the league. Roughly arguably. He was at least one of the top tight ends in the league. So if he brings that back, he's going to be stupendous. The O-line is a bit of a question mark still. I'm not going to lie. They just paid Andrew Thomas. He's a great left tackle. After him, though, it's a bit of a question mark. You know, they got Glowinski at guard. Evan Neal, hopefully he can do better. John Michael Schmitz coming in to play center. He looked good in college. Then they got Bredesen fighting to take one of the guard positions with Josh Azudu. You know, the Giants are a big question mark for this year, too. They could end up being really good, but they also still have a couple holes, right? They might not end up being as good as last year. And that's okay. But Daniel Jones, I think he's set up to take another step forward. And I think 16 might even be too low for him when we come around to the end of the year and see the rankings again. So I really like Daniel Jones, and I'm pumped to see what he can do this year. After him, I got Dak. Now, some people are probably going to think this is kind of low for Dak, but let me explain. I think Dak is a good quarterback. Solid quarterback. Good game manager. He's basically Tony Romo again. They basically went from Tony Romo to Tony Romo 2.0, but he can move a little more maybe. Yeah, even then Dak doesn't really move much. He's Tony Romo. Come on. Maybe a little quieter than Tony. I like Dak though. He seems like a good guy. He's capable. He's got a good arm. He can maneuver in the pocket. And he makes smart decisions. The thing is, I don't like the coaching staff at all. You know, um, they got Mike McCarthy at the head coach. I think he's kind of garbage. I thought Aaron Rodgers held his hand basically the whole time he was the Packers coach. I don't think he's a good head coach. And they got rid of their O coordinator. They got rid of Kellen Moore. He bought the bullet for Mike McCarthy for the Cowboys not being as good as Jerry wanted last year. And they brought in Brian Schottenheimer to replace him. I like Kellen Moore as the O coordinator. I thought he was basically carrying the team instead of Mike McCarthy. And I think they're going to take a big step back with Schottenheimer and Mike McCarthy. I really do. That being said, I mean, they still have a solid team. They do. Tyron Smith, Tyler Smith, Zach Martin. They got a good O-line. And they got solid weapons. They got CeeDee Lamb, Tony Pollard in the backfield, trying his hand at the number one role. Michael Gallup coming back. Brandon Cooks they brought in. He's dangerous. They got a good team. They do have a good team, so Dak's not going to be bad. No. He's a good quarterback, and he's got good weapons and a good O-line. He's not going to be bad. But I think his coaching is going to be terrible. I think it's going to be awful. And I think they're going to put him in bad positions. And I think he's going to not be able to make a lot of amazing plays like they should be able to because of it. So I have him down at 15 because of Mike McCarthy and the coaching staff. Not because of Dak. After him, had no idea what to do with Brock Purdy and the 49ers. I put him at 14, though. I like Brock Purdy. I think he's going to miss a few games. He did just pass... I don't know if he passed his physical or if he was just okayed to like practice a little, but he's back practicing a little, that's for sure. So he might not miss too many games. He might not miss any games. I think he'll probably miss like 2. I think he'll miss the first 2 weeks and then he'll come back. 2 weeks though. 2 weeks might be enough for Trey Lance or Sam Darnold to take the job. Who knows? If they look really good back there, who's to say they don't stick with them? Which is why Brock Purdy needs to come back and play week 1. He needs to potentially keep his job. I do like Brock Purdy a lot, though. He proved himself last year. He looked better than Jimmy G in that offense, which is saying something because Jimmy took him to a Super Bowl. Brock Purdy, he's not like amazing. He doesn't have great skills. He's got an okay arm. He can run around a little bit. Not like he's not a runner though. The thing is with Brock Purdy, he's smart. He's a really smart quarterback. He does not make a lot of mistakes. And as a rookie, that's very impressive. And he was blessed with the circumstances last year. Not only to be drafted by one of the geniuses of the NFL in Kyle Shanahan, but also the injury bug hit him hard, Jimmy G and Trey Lance were both ahead of him, and they both got hurt. We would have never seen Brock Purdy if that didn't happen. So... But yeah, I think Brock Purdy is going to have a really good year if he maintains the starting role and if he doesn't get hurt. For some reason, the Niners always get hurt. They do have a new quarterback coordinator coming in, but I mean they have Kyle Shanahan. They brought in Clint Kubiak, who I like him as well. But either way, it's going to be Shanahan calling the plays, so it's not going to change much. He's a genius. Weapon-wise, they're stacked. Christian McCaffrey, Debo. George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk. They're stacked. They're loaded. He's got everything he needs. O-line, still good. They lost a player, but they still got Trent Williams. Aaron Banks looks good. They're bringing in Colt McCoy to take over at right tackle. Colt McCoy, I met him when I was in West Virginia. I love him. He's smart, good player. I think he's going to be really good. I think he's going to be a really good right tackle. I'm biased. But I think he's going to slide right in, and that O-line is going to be really good again. And if Brock Purdy plays most of the year, I think he can be higher than 14. I don't think he's going to be top 5. I don't think he's going to be top 8. He could break top 10 though. He really could with the weapons and with the coaching and with his smarts. He could be top 10 quarterback, no doubt. I really like Brock Purdy and got him at 14. After him, I also didn't know what to do with Matt Stafford. I put him at 13 in his little Super Bowl uniform there. I put him at 13, but honestly, it's just a huge question mark what he's going to look like this year. You know, last year he got hurt, really bad injury, 2 injuries. He hurt his brain, which is dangerous, and he also hurt his arm, which took him out. He had a really bad injury. I don't remember if it was Tommy John or not, but I know it was really bad. And it could actually affect the way that he plays for the rest of his career. He's also older. He's nearing retirement age. He's been in the league for a long time. So I wasn't sure how high I could put him because all of that could affect his play. But he has been good. He has good stats every single year. Last year was a little rough when he did play. He didn't even get to play most of the year, but he's always been good, so I didn't want to put him too low. And he's still got Sean McVay. McVay looked rough last year. He almost quit. And they brought in Mike LaFleur, as the O coordinator. So they still have really good coaching. The weapons, he still has Cooper Kupp. I still think Coop's one of the best receivers in the league. After that, it's a little questionable. Cam Akers at running back. We'll see what he can do. Van Jefferson, Tyler Higbee. They're okay. Nothing special. The O-line, though, that is probably the biggest question mark and the biggest disappointment of this entire offense. After the Super Bowl, they have gone so far downhill, it's sad. Boom at left tackle. Bringing in Steve Avila. Heavenstein's been going downhill for years. Brian Allen's all right in the center. If they can work together and be decent, Matt Stafford should be at least at 13, I would think. I mean, it depends on his skills still as his age progresses, but I think if the O-line can play decent, Stafford should be all right. And 13 is realistic. Will he break top 10? I don't know. He's got the skills to do it if he, returns from these injuries okay. But top 10's rough. I don't know. Maybe. The thing, though, is he could be a lot worse than 13. I honestly could believe Stafford falling off this year. He could be the one that falls off. Last year it looked like Russ. Tom Brady even. This year it could be Matt Stafford that falls off the wagon. Siri's listening to me again. Go away, Siri. But yeah, Stafford could end up being terrible. That remains to be seen. But yeah, for now I have him at 13. I like Matt Stafford. Moving on. We're almost in the top 10. Who didn't make the cut? Kirk Cousins didn't make the cut. I like Kirk Cousins a lot. I really do. He's very talented, very smart, makes big plays, makes big mistakes. That's been his boon since he was drafted. Makes big mistakes in big moments. Last year, the Giants beat him in the playoffs when they were heavily favored, partially because of Kirk Cousins. But, I still think he's very good, very talented, and I still think the team has a lot of talent. So I'm not going to drop him too far. Maybe this is too high for some people, honestly, but I have him right outside the top 10. I think he's very capable of that. I think he's capable of staying there. His coaching staff is all right. They got Kevin O'Connell and Wes Phillips. They looked solid last year, but they also won a lot of very close games. Was it partially luck? Probably. But I do like Kevin O'Connell. And, I don't think they'll be bad. They still got good weapons. They still have Justin Jefferson, my opinion, number 1 receiver in the league. They still got TJ Hawkinson's one of the better tight ends. They're bringing in Jordan Addison. I think he'll be a great addition to the receiving core. Big question at running back after they dropped Dalvin. I love Dalvin Cook. Thought he was one of the best in the league. We'll see what Alexander Madison can do. I don't know much about him. But I think the O-line is solid enough that he should be fine in the backfield. I think he'll be fine. they're bringing in the same group from last year, and they were pretty good last year. Bradbury, Ingram, Darisaw. They were solid last year, so I think the Vikings still have playoff capabilities this year. I still think they're going to be fighting for it, and I think they can do it with Kirk Cousins. I like him a lot. So I have him at 12. After him, I think a very someone that I think is a very close comparison to Kirk is Jared Goff. I have him at 11, right outside the top 10. I actually had him in the top 10 before I dropped him out. I was like, nah, this is crazy. I can't have him top 10. I still think he could be top 10 this year, though. I really do. I used to think Jared Goff was on the same level as Carson Wentz, but over the past 2 years, I think Goff and Wentz have gone from level to like very big difference. Wentz has gone totally way downhill. His coaching staff's kind of failed him, and his confidence never recovered. Jared Goff, on the other hand, I think his confidence has spiked since he joined the Lions. I think leaving the Rams and Sean McVay was a blessing in disguise for Jared Goff, because he has made Detroit his home and his team, and they have made him their quarterback. That being said, he still could get replaced. They got Hendon Hooker. They brought him in. Hooker's hurt, so he's not going to play much, but Hooker's very talented. I really like him. So Goff's got somebody that he's got to look behind his back for this year eventually. But I think Jared Goff is going to do really good. I really do think that. I like the Lions a lot, like a lot of people do. I like Dan Campbell. He's a very fun coach. Ben Johnson seems like a very good coordinator. They'll probably lose him after the year. He'll probably get a head coaching job, but they still got him for now. I think he's still great. They upgraded their weaponry. You know, they drafted Jahmyr Gibbs and brought in David Montgomery to shore up the running back room. I think that's going to be a fantastic duo at running back. I think that's going to be real dangerous. They got Amon-Ra St. Brown, who really came into his own last year. He could end up being a number one receiver this year, like a legit number one. Not like he's their number one. No, he could be like, oh, Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's their number one. You know? Then they got Marvin Jones. He's a solid player. I think that's a dangerous group there. And then their O-line they're the second best in the league. Arguable first, though. They make a case for number one. You know, Big V has been good. Penei Sewell has been everything we thought he would be. Frank Ragnow at center. Taylor Decker. They have a really good O-line. So all of that means that Jared Goff is going to do good. I would be shocked if Jared Goff looked bad this year. I think the Lions are going to make a very real push for the playoffs. And I really want to see them in the playoffs. I can't wait. I want to see Jared Goff leading them in the playoffs. I think it'll be great. And I think he'll have a really good year. He could even be a top 10 quarterback. He really could be this year, I think. I have high expectations for them and for Jared Goff. Now we get to the top 10. I got Lamar just in the top 10. And now some of y'all that are watching this, you're going to be like, oh my God. He has a couple players that I think should have been outside the top 10. I get it. We'll get to them. But I got Lamar at 10. Now, Lamar, I think, is a little overhyped. Yeah, he won an MVP. He's very talented. He can make all the runs. But his limitations are very real. Like, he's got a good arm, but he has not been a good quarterback. He's been a good weapon. A really good weapon. But he hasn't been a good quarterback, in my opinion, throwing the ball. He's made good plays. I'll give him that. And he can make good plays. He's got a great arm. He can make all the plays. His accuracy and his decision-making is questionable, though. That being said, I have him in the top 10 for a reason. One, I will always trust John Harbaugh and their coaching staff. I think them bringing in Todd Monken is going to be a very good for Lamar. I think Todd Monken is going to get the best that we've ever seen of Lamar. Not running-wise, maybe MVP year, I get it, but I think the best passer is going to show up this year. They also brought in weapons for him. Obviously, they still have Mark Andrews, the tight end, one of the better tight ends in the league. He's great for him. They got Batman, Rashad Bateman. I think I think he's gonna have like a breakout this year. I think Rashad Bateman's gonna break out and be really good this year. And they brought in OBJ. We haven't. Odell didn't play last year. Um, and he didn't play a lot the year before either. He's been very injury prone lately, but he's still a vet. He's still a good route runner, and he can still make big plays. He may have taken a step back, but for Odell, taking a step back still means he's a really good receiver. Taking a step back even. So even if he lost a step, he should be able to make big plays. So I think that core for Lamar is the best core that he's ever had, and I think with Todd Monken guiding him, he will be able to make a lot of plays this year. I think the Ravens are going to be dangerous. Their O line is also one of the better O lines in the league. Kevin Zeitler, Tyler Linderbaum in the inside with the rookie. I don't even know how to say his name. Malasala, Amuve, Laulu, whatever. They're the inside guys. They got Ronnie Stanley and Morgan Moses. That's a good O line. They could. I don't think they're going to be better than the Lions or the Eagles, but I think they're going to be really good. So I think the Ravens and Lamar have everything they need to be one of the better teams in the league this year. And Lamar, I think, is going to benefit greatly. And he's got the contract out of the way, so he's just got to focus on football. And I think he's going to have a big year. I think he's going to make a statement like this. I earned this contract. I earned it. And I think they're going to be fighting in the playoffs. They could make a deep run. After him, at number 9, I have Tua. Now, a lot of people are going to say this is real high for Tua. I get that too. But I have a lot of faith in Tua. I think he can be, when he's healthy, one of the best in the league. He is incredibly accurate with the football. He doesn't have a huge arm, but he can make the throws he needs to. And he doesn't really run, but he can move around the pocket when he needs to too. I was listening to somebody the other day talking about Tua's main fault, and it's that he doesn't protect himself. Like other players, other quarterbacks, you see like when they're gonna get hit or when they do get hit, they protect themselves. They go down, they slide, they throw the ball away. They protect themselves when they get hit. Tua does not do that, which is one of the big reasons why he gets hurt every single year. If he remains healthy, I think number 9 is very reachable for Tua. I really think he could be here. Why? Because one, he's very talented, like I was saying, and his weapons are amazing. He's got Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. That's probably the two dangerous. That's probably the most dangerous tandem, most dangerous duo in the league. Either one of them can take it to the house at any given moment, any given play. So that is dangerous. And then they have Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson at running back, but there's also the rumor that Dalvin Cook is going to sign with them. If they get Dalvin Cook, the Dolphins should be in the playoffs. If they get Dalvin Cook, in my opinion, that's going to make them just that much more dangerous. Now, Mostert and Wilson are still a good group in the backfield. So even if they don't get Cook, I think they'll be good. But if they get Dalvin Cook, Mike McDaniel's not going to know what to do with himself. All right. And speaking of Mike McDaniel, I think he's a really good coach. I love Mike McDaniel. He's probably my favorite coach in the league right now. Him and Dayball. And then I got Frank Smith at O coordinator. Whatever. It's Mike McDaniel's team, right? I think he's going to have a lot more stuff this year in his second year as the coach. And their O-line is kind of questionable. They've improved over the past couple years. You know, Terran Armstead, Eichenberg's all right. They still got work to do. Connor Williams at center. They still got work to do. Hopefully they can be okay though. As long as they're okay, maybe Tua stays healthy. And if Tua stays healthy, this is a dangerous, dangerous team. If he doesn't stay healthy though, let's just see real quick. Oh yeah, they brought in Mike White. Honestly, I think Mike White's a little overhyped. To be honest, I don't think he's all that good. But with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, how good do you really have to be? You know what I mean? I think Tua and the Dolphins are going to be dangerous, and I am pumped to see what they can do. After him, a lot of people are going to think this is way too high, but I got Geno. I love Geno. He's from West Virginia. He is one of my favorite quarterbacks, and he is in a perfect situation to be a top 10 quarterback. He won Comeback Player of the Year last year because he went from a nobody backup, almost out of the league quarterback, to last year being one of the better quarterbacks in the league. Out of nowhere. I love Geno Smith, and I think he's going to continue to be a very good quarterback as long as he's with the Seahawks and as long as he has Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll's a great coach. Shane Waldron showed last year that he's a solid coordinator. I like Shane Waldron now. I was questionable on him before, but last year they did good. They were really good. And under Pete, the sky's the limit. Um, he's got DK Metcalf. He's a unicorn. He can do anything. He's got Tyler Lockett, always dependable. Kenneth Walker showed out before he got hurt last year. And then they brought in JSN, Jackson Smith and Jigba in the draft. That's a dangerous group. O-line, they improved. If the O-line doesn't do good this year, then maybe Geno won't be top 10. I don't know. He might be running for his life. But I think the O-line can come together. Charles Cross didn't look bad his rookie year. Damian Lewis, they got Abraham Lucas at right. Evan Brown, Phil Haynes, if they can come together and be all right, Geno Smith will be a top 10 quarterback. Jot it down. Put it in pen. It's going to happen. At 7, I got Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is a 40-year-old man. He's going to take a step back at one of these days. Even if he takes a step back like arm strength-wise or running ability-wise, he still has a veteran brain, right? He's smart. He's very smart. He knows what to do with the football, always. He's always been very good. Maybe not his rookie year, but other than that, he's always been really good, right? And I think going to the Jets is going to be great for him. He's got a lot more media attention, Hard Knocks, blah, blah, blah. But why I think he's going to be great for him? Because they actually have weapons that the Packers never wanted to get him. The Packers never wanted to get him weapons for some reason. What a weird team, right? But now, with the New York Jets, he has Garrett Wilson, Offensive Rookie of the Year. He's probably going to break out this year. Let's be real. You got Breece Hall at running back. If he comes back healthy from his injury, he looked like one of the better running backs before he got hurt last year. They brought in Allen Lazard, old faithful from the Packers. Rodgers is going to be hitting him all over the place. Tyler Conklin at tight end, solid tight end. He's probably going to make some big plays. Now, the coaching staff is questionable. Nathaniel Hackett, he's been an all right coordinator. He's a terrible head coach, but all right coordinator. And he knows Rodgers, so I think he'll be fine. Especially, Rodgers will be fine. He's going to be the coordinator himself, basically. The O-line is a little questionable. Dwayne Brown coming back. He's one of the better ones when he plays, when he's not hurt. So we'll see what he can do. They brought in Joe Tippmann at center. He should be solid. Fit right in. Elijah Vera-Tucker looked good. The biggest question mark is Mekhi Becton. Mekhi Becton, if he can come in and play, he might be a really good tackle. Let's be real. He might be really good. But it's a question mark because he's been hurt for 2 years straight, basically. I think he's played one game in 2 years. But if he comes in and he's healthy, I think he will shore up that O-line, shore up the tackle position, him and Dwayne Brown. And I think Rodgers will be fine, and I think the Jets will be a playoff team. They have the capability to be. And I like them. And I like Rodgers, and I think they're going to be good. And I got them at 7. Now, the top 6 guys on my list are, in my opinion, like the clear tops. Well, the clear top 7, I'd say, with Rodgers in the top 7. I think it's a very clear top 7 that separates from the pack. At 6, I got, at 6 overall, Trevor Lawrence. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to take a massive leap this year. He took a big step last year. I think he's going to leap this year. Straight into the best quarterbacks conversation. Trevor Lawrence showed last year that his rookie year was a fluke. He showed last year that he is who they thought he was. And this year, I cannot wait for year 2 with Doug Peterson. It's going to be amazing. Doug Peterson, Press Taylor as the coordinator. Whoa, they're going to be good. Christian Kirk's back. He surprised last year. Calvin Ridley's back. He should be good. They should be a good one, too. Travis Etienne at running back. And then Evan Ingram at tight end, bringing him back. I think they're going to be dangerous this year. The O-line, yeah, a bit questionable. Cam Robinson, they brought in Anton Harrison. Hopefully he fits right in. Question mark. Ben Barch, I like him. It's questionable, but I think the Jags and Trevor Lawrence are going to be dangerous, and I'm pumped to see it. Now, I'm just going to move along because, yeah. At 5, I got Josh Allen. Some people might think that he's like number 2. Maybe some crazy people even say number 1. But last year, I saw Josh Allen take a step back. That's what I saw. He's still very talented. He can still make all the plays. He still has some weapons, some danger. But he took a step back. And I think it's because they lost Brian Daboll. I really do. Josh Allen has Ken Dorsey as his coordinator now from last year. And I don't necessarily have anything against Ken Dorsey, but I thought it was clear that the offense took a step back last year under Ken Dorsey's leadership. And after seeing Ken Dorsey freak out in the box, I was like, dude, I don't know about this guy. I don't know about him as the coordinator. I think they needed Daboll. I think Daboll might have carried this team. And I'm nervous that they're going to take another step back this year. Now, they still have Stephon Diggs. He's still a beast. After Stephon Diggs, though, it's like a bunch of question marks. Like Gabe Davis took a step back last year. He didn't look like who they thought he was. Running back, they got James Cook. Hopefully he can show out. We'll see. Maybe they'll get Dalvin Cook. That'd be amazing. That'd be a big upgrade. Tight end, they got Dawson Knox from last year. He's like okay. They brought in the tight end in the draft. He should make some big plays, but like it was all Diggs last year. It was all Diggs. And their O-line like took a step back too, I feel like. They brought in Connor McGovern this year, and they got Deion Dawkins, Mitch Morse. I'm nervous. I like the Bills, and I am nervous about them. I still think Josh Allen's going to be really good. Don't get me wrong, but I am nervous about him taking a step back. So I have him at 5. At 4, I got Jalen Hurts. I have him passing Josh Allen. Jalen Hurts took a massive leap last year. Obviously, he was in a great situation, but it still remains. He took a massive leap by himself. Like, he did that. You know what I'm saying? And I think he showed that he has everything you need for a top 5 franchise quarterback. He can run, he can throw, he can make all the good decisions. And he gets people open that weren't open before with his skills, with his moves. And I just think he is the perfect Philadelphia quarterback. You know, their O-line is still considered the best in the league. Mailata, Kelsey, Lane Johnson. They brought in Tyler Steen. Maybe we'll see what he can do, but he should be fine. They still have great weapons. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith at number 2 is crazy. Dallas Goedert, good tight end. They brought in DeAndre Swift and Rashad Penny. They should be great. They should have great years. They're going to be so dangerous, it's crazy. And yeah, the question is the coaching. Like, they still have Nick Sirianni, but they lost both coordinators, right? They lost Steichen, they lost Gannon. Thing is, they had Brian Johnson. They promoted Brian Johnson from within, and I personally think Brian Johnson could end up being better than Shane Steichen. I really think that. And with this stacked roster, I don't see any reason why he wouldn't be better. Because they are so dangerous, it's crazy. I think Jalen Hurts has the potential and the ability to challenge for the number 1. in the league, challenge for an MVP. That's what I think. And it hurts me to say that as a Giants fan. But the Eagles are going to be insanely dangerous this year. And Jalen Hurts is part of the danger. And number 3, I had Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert's one of the best in the league. He just got paid. He can make all the plays. Great arm. He can run. He's accurate. He's smart. He can do it all. And he's a fantastic player for the Chargers. I have him at 3 for one simple reason. I think he could make an argument for number 1 overall if he had a different coach. Don't like Brandon Staley as a head coach, and I definitely didn't like Joe Lombardi as their coordinator. This year, though, they brought in Kellen Moore, and I think Kellen Moore is going to call up some wild plays for Herbert. I think he's going to improve Herbert's play, and I think it was a great call for them. Hopefully he changes their narrative of the team that disappoints every year, you know? He's still got Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, and Mike Williams, and they added the rookie Quentin Johnston to that. That is a dangerous core. The O-line is solid. Rashawn Slater looks like a great tackle. Zion looks good. Trey Pipkins was all right. Corey Linsley. This is a good team, and Herbert's part of it. And I have him at number 3. Number 2, I questioned it for maybe a split second, but it's going to be Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, despite the fact that he is not a running quarterback, which is where the league has been trending for years now, Joe Burrow is still one of the best and savviest and smoothest quarterbacks in the league. Joe Burrow, he's got Zach Taylor and Brian Callahan as coaches. They're like nobodies. Nobody even knows who they are, basically, because Joe Burrow takes all the swag. You know, he's got Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd, solid core receivers. Joe Mixon, he took a step back last year, and he's still a good running back. O-line should be taking a big step up this year. They added Orlando Brown. That should help immensely with their fight to get back to the Super Bowl. Moving Jonah to right tackle. Alex Kappa and Ted Karras are still there. Joe Burrow's dangerous, and this is going to be a dangerous team. And like Joe Burrow said, they're going to be a dangerous team as long as he's there, because he's that good. And then number 1, of course, who else? Pat Mahomes. Enough said. That's my list. If you disagree with me, let me know. If you agree with me, let me know. Tell me what I should change. Tell me why I should change it. But this is my list, and I'm sticking to it. Goodbye.